Welcome back to Anxiety and Depression Adventures. And today's topic is, what does anxiety really feel like? It's a difficult one to nail down, I believe, because there are so many variations of it. There's social anxiety or agoraphobia, I think they call it, and then there's uh, generalized anxiety disorder where it's just sort of floating around and always there. There's panic attacks. It kind of runs the gamut. And I believe, from my opinion, is anxiety can be highly personalized and subjective for the person living with it. So while the medical community may have their own opinions as to what defines anxiety with someone, that is, anxiety which is interfering in the normal functioning of their life, I don't think that totally can be used as a cookie cutter approach for all of us that wake up every day feeling like, oh God, I've got to get through this day. So this past weekend, even though it was a good weekend and there was really nothing wrong, has been brutal. And today, up until about, lunchtime in my time zone, it's been quite brutal as well. So I'm just going to give you a few quick insights as to how Dave feels when anxiety is just not going the way he would like it to. Your first thought in the morning, your first emotion in the morning is borderline panic. Just about the fact that you've now woken up, you're out of your escape zone, and you have the day to face. Ugh. And then you lay in bed and you start thinking, and your brain begins revving up and revving up. And regardless of the breathing techniques, and there's a billion of them out there, some I've shared with you already, it engages your brain, and that just seems to be counterproductive in my case because it gets my brain even more awake, and I get even more flustered inside. It's like butterflies on steroids. My heart is beating exceptionally fast. My breathing is very shallow. Um, I guess I'm lucky I don't get panic attacks, but I don't feel very lucky. I find getting up and getting going does help, but for some odd reason, up until early afternoon, and this may be because I take a daily nap around 1 o'clock, and well, being unemployed, hey, who can stop me? Maybe because of that, my mind is able to break the day up into chunks. So it says to itself, okay, I just need to make it through the next 5 or 6 hours, and then I get a break. And then there's the afternoon and evening, which I've got other coping mechanisms for. But the whole morning period, it just sucks. The first thing I do in the morning is walk my dog, Abby. And one physical attribute to this, and I don't know if it's due to medication or the fact I haven't had a cigarette since the night before, or whether it's just pure anxiety, but I feel it physically. It's like my entire body is plugged into an electrical outlet, and I can, with every step, I can feel the jolts, almost like a limb that's fallen asleep. You know, when you've slept on it or something, that kind of tingly feeling. I can feel the jolts with every footstep, and my body is extremely rigid. I don't feel agile, and it's very disconcerting. Lack of balance sometimes. It's just unexplainable and highly annoying. And if I was working and I had to start work at 8 o'clock in the morning, man, I don't think I'd be very productive. The whole mental side. I mean, holy crap. I must have the most hardwired brain in the world because this sucker just runs and runs and runs on thinking ahead. And maybe it's because of my business training and all the jobs that I've had where, yeah, you know, when you're in the, you know, the home office, head office, whatever type of thing, and that type of a job, you're expected to think strategically. You're expected to think, you know, uh, long term uh, ways rather than just getting through the next 5 minutes. So I don't know if that's trained me in that respect or whatever, but I think about the bills, I think about my kids, I think about, well, what if this happens? And I'm not one of these people that goes into the, you know, the what if mode all that much, in the sense of, oh my gosh, what happens, you know, if Abby trips and breaks a leg and I have to pay the vet bill? Like, I don't go off in extremes like that. I don't even go off worrying about being unemployed, because I have, thankfully, a very deep-seated inner sense of optimism that it'll all come out of the wash, as my mother-in-law would say. But man, my brain just gets it going, and it just, there's just no stopping it. And and I'll stand there with the dog, and I'll breathe in and think of my heart and pretend that I'm breathing in positive thoughts. Well, I shouldn't say pretend. I am consciously breathing in positive thoughts and exhaling through my solar plexus, and you know, trying to get myself into that coherent state that I referred to in an earlier video. But man, when this anxiety is at its peak, it just feels sometimes like there's no stopping it. Thoughts of escape or planning escape, they seem to be paramount in my mind when I'm feeling the way I feel, which is pretty much every moment I'm awake. So I don't know if I'm making progress or not, because as I said, I seem to go from one method of relaxation to another, and the closer I get to the next one, I feel better. So, like I say, when I get up in the morning, I'm already thinking about that 1 o'clock nap. When I wake up around 2 or 2:30, and the anxiety is right there again, but not as nearly as intense, then I'm looking forward to having a glass of wine in the evening, and sitting back and watching a movie. But that's not living. That's just lurching from one escape vehicle to another. And I don't know if that's really the way to go about doing things. I hope it's okay, but I don't know. Getting out helps, and doing things even that you don't want to do. This morning, for example, terrible. But I got up and I thought, okay, I need to get a job. I know of a couple of places I think I'd enjoy working. None of them would pay much, but nonetheless, it would get me out of the house. So I'd already printed off my resumes, wrote personalized cover letters to the managers of these places that were hiring, and, you know, got a half-decent shirt on, unlike what you're used to seeing me in, and I got out. And I wasn't feeling better, believe me, but I got the job done. I met with each manager. These were not planned appointments. I just walked into their stores and said, here I am, here's my resume, you know, here's what I have to offer, whatever. And doing that does diminish the anxiety to some degree. It at least makes me feel in myself that I'm still moving forward in my life. The kicker is, I'm not enjoying my life. It just feels like crap all the time. But at least I'm not curled up in a ball in bed and over-medicated like I have been in the past. So I guess we can put a little check mark up there for perseverance. I don't know. It diminishes my self-esteem. I was born with low self-esteem for whatever reason, but I've developed what I think are pretty, or have been to this point, fairly effective ways of of not letting it get in the way of, you know, going for gold and having the career that you want to have. But when this anxiety is in me, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel I'm worthy of friendship, of love, of being offered a job. And then I'm petrified about, well, what if they do offer me the job? Oh my God. I mean, my mind's gonna go blank. I'm not gonna be able to make a decision. It's like a no-win situation. And this, you know, especially with having gone through the medical system for so many years and still being in this rut, there are sometimes I feel like, you know, the best I can say is I'm pretty damn well educated about this condition, but that doesn't mean I'm a lot better most days. But as my psychologist tells me, revel in the good days and don't let yourself get caught up in the bad ones. Well, you still have to get through the bad ones. So there's just a snippet of some of the feelings, both mental and physical, that are fairly routine for me. And I know I do better when I do get out into a social setting of my choosing. And I can't sit here on employment insurance forever. It's going to run out in 3 months. And I've got bills to pay and kids to take care of and child support and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, there's real life things that just have to be done. But for the life of me, there are times when I just have no clue where my life is heading and how to get there. Well, where? I don't know. Do you? So, thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing, to Anxiety and Depression Adventures. Please subscribe. Please like. Please especially leave comments. I love those. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me about how it feels in this moment to be living with anxiety. But I am not giving up, and I am not having suicidal thoughts, and I get up and I get out and I do what I can every day. Not perfectly, but to the best of my ability. And I can say that is progress compared to several years ago. So maybe I'm just being too hard on myself. Anyway, you all have a great day. And don't forget to leave a comment. Bye.